Hey there my lovelies, and welcome to my booktube channel, The Sassy Library Fox. My name is Leigh, and today we're finally going to talk about my August wrap-up. I'm so late with this. It's the middle of September already, but this doesn't change that we still have temperatures of 30 degrees Celsius, I may add. So it's still hot here, and yeah, I just hope that my flat will cool down someday. Might not be all too soon, but yeah, I'm optimistic. Anyway, what I want to talk about is my August wrap-up and the reason why it comes so late and the reason why I just read 2 books in August. So yeah, it's getting a little bit personal here, and this is basically some sort of life update so that you know what I've been up to and why I wasn't online all that much. If you're not interested in a life update, you can just skip to the next part of the video and to the books I actually read in August. But if you want to know what happened over here, well, buckle up and lean back. It's a little bit of a longer story. I'm just taking my coffee to talk about it. So the reason I just read 2 books, or actually it was 1 book and 1 manga in August, is the fact that a lot of personal things happened. And as you all know, my aunt died in July. And then I got a new job. I started 2 weeks after her death with a new job in August. So I had a lot of job interviews going on in July. Then I had the funeral of my aunt, and then I was already in a new job. And this kept me pretty busy, but to make it even more crazy and to add insult to injury, my husband, my hubby, got hospitalized in the middle of August, about 3 weeks after the funeral of my aunt, due to a pulmonary embolism. And it came all of a sudden, and it happened so fast, and one day he was fine and the next he wasn't. So yeah, I spent a lot of time going to the hospital, visiting him, taking care of our kid, trying to figure out all the things my kid needed for the school start. And yeah, I was extremely busy. I was working as well. I tried to keep our household in check, and it was a lot. It was really a lot in so many ways, and this on top of the loss in the family. So yeah, that's basically the reason why I only read 2 books in August. And I mean, one of them is a manga, so yeah, I count it as a book. I would say it is a book, but I was through it pretty fast, so it actually was just something on top of it all so that I could get back into reading, because all of the happenings, everything that happened those last couple of 2 months, I think, or 2.5 months, caused me to fall into a really huge reading slump. And yeah, that's the reason I read so many books in July. But then August happened, and turns out I am a stress reader, but only if it's good stress. If it's the bad sort of stress, I'm not reading that much. I actually fall into a reading slump. I didn't know that about myself, but here we are. Okay, so anyway, after all those things, my hubby is doing better by now. He's back home, he's working again. So we got through that, but it was just a lot. It was a lot. So I'm very sorry if I didn't comment on your videos, if I didn't watch them, if I haven't talked to you in a while. It's just been this summer has been wild. I just hope that things will go smoothly from now on out, because quite honestly, it's enough. 2023 has been a tough year, to say it like that, and I just want normalcy. I want a super normal autumn, and I want a super normal winter, and I want a super normal Christmas. If that can be granted, I will be happy. Okay, enough of the personal stuff. I'm sorry this took so long, but it was quite a long story to tell. But I just wanted to tell you so that you are in on the loop and that you know why I haven't been all that active on here. I know I've been a very bad BookTube friend and bookish friend in general, so I will try to do better those next couple of months if I am granted to not have my life being crazy like that and being wild like during the summer. Okay, enough. Let's just head to the wrap up and to the books I actually read in August. The first book I read in August was Hellbent by Leigh Bardugo, and it's actually the second book in the Alex Stern series. If you've heard about it already, I'm pretty sure you did. The first book, Ninth House, has been all over the internet and on my feed, so it would surprise me if you haven't heard of it yet. Anyway, Hellbent was already the second book, and in the first book we heard the story of Alex Stern, and Alex Stern actually is named Galaxy Stern, but everyone calls her Alex because it's way easier than saying Galaxy. Anyway, it sounds a little bit more normal, so Alex goes with Alex. And she is actually a school dropout, but she can see ghosts. And this sort of talent is the reason why she finds herself in hospital with a secret society of Yale asking her to join their ranks and to help them deal with the supernatural. And yes, I love that about the story. It's dark academia, it plays on the campus, and you have all the different societies and what they are up to in secret and how they ensure that they are successful. And the first book was, there were some scenes in the first book I had a hard time digesting. It was really, really dark. I mean, we're talking dark academia here, and it was really dark academia. But funnily enough, the second book wasn't that bad. You would think the second book would have even more horrific or creepy or I don't know what else topics. But I actually enjoyed the second book a lot. It was less gruesome and less, how to say it, disgusting than the first book. So for that reason, I actually enjoyed the second book way more than the first. And I just loved, I loved that we got a lot of new characters and that the old ones that were already in the first book were introduced a little more. We get to see some of the backgrounds, and Detective Turner is part of that group, Dawes is part of that group, and also Mercy. So even Trip from the first book. So that's really great. I love to hear about them and to see how they are as characters, how they became the people they are. And of course, Darlington plays a part in this book as well. Because, and here comes a spoiler for the first book. If you haven't read the first book, just continue. In the first book, we found out that Darlington basically ran into a mouth of hell and was taken to hell. And in the second book, we find out what happened to him, and Alex and Dawes and Turner try to get him back from hell. So the entire plot is really interesting. I loved all the nods to history and the secret societies, and it's just, it was really, really great to read. I really liked it, and I'm so damn curious about the third book and what's going to happen in there, because the first book focused more on how Alex got to Yale, how she became Dante, and what happened with Darlington, and why she has the powers she has and can see ghosts. And the second book kind of focused on getting Darlington back and pulling him away from hell. So the focus on that was very heavy, and I think the third book might be in the vein of Alex's powers once again and what she can do with them, why she has them, who is her father, and things like that. So I'm very curious about the third book in this series, and I'm pretty certain it will tackle all the topics that were just introduced in book 1 and 2, and then it will get, yeah, to the really interesting parts. Okay, that was the first book I read in August, and I rated it with 4 paws, and it was good. I really enjoyed it. It was a thick book, but I made my way through it and I liked it. I really did. It was a great book to read in August, and I actually read it in the first 1 and 2 weeks of August, because after that I didn't read anything. The only book, or the only other book I read in August, is the second book I read, and it's actually a manga. It was Death Note Volume 5, and I read it quite literally on the last day of August, I think. Because 2 weeks in August I didn't read anything at all, and then I decided I wanted to fight that reading slump and actually picked up the manga, because usually mangas and webcomics are really helpful for me to get back or to get out of a reading slump. And yeah, gotta be fair here, aside of Hellbent and Volume 5 of Death Note, I actually read a ton, and I mean really literally a ton, of All for the Game fanfics. But it's my comfort series, and I needed to read them to get some sort of comfort. So yeah, I read a ton of fanfics, but I'm not going to mention them all here. If you ever want a video about fanfics and All for the Game fanfics at that, please let me know. I would love to make one. There are so many great ones out there, and it would be fun to lead people into the right direction or to give them some good recommendations. Anyway, enough of that. The second book I read in August was, as I said, Death Note Volume 5, and I gotta admit it wasn't as good as the other 4 volumes before that one, which is partly due to the fact that the cat and mouse game between L and Light reached its climax, more or less, and there had to be done, or things had to be done, to continue with the manga and to keep the identity of Light hidden, that he's Kira. So the author took some steps to ensure that, and I gotta say I wasn't all too happy with how everything panned out and how things changed and developed from there on out. I know why the author did it, because after 4 volumes of Cat and Mouse Game you had no other choice than to go for a different route and to shake things up. I just didn't enjoy the way how things were shaken up, to say it in a very, very cryptic way so that you don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I wasn't all too happy with the direction in which this volume went, and they lost another member of the task force, not due to death, but because apparently the police decided to close the case of Kira and not to chase him anymore, which was a little bit inconclusive for me, because quite honestly Kira is still all over the news, and for the police to back down and to not hunt him anymore felt really strange. if I would be a citizen there, I would have no trust into the police anymore. If I would find out about that. I mean, it's not official, but it's unofficial, and sooner or later one of the reporters will get wind of it. I'm pretty certain they will. Anyway, I didn't like the direction in which book 5 or volume 5 was heading. I'm not such a huge fan of financial companies and all the things that happen there. So yeah, not my cup of tea, but I've heard that it gets better in the 6th volume and that the pace is picking up once again. So I will just borrow the 6th volume whenever I have time to and continue reading the series, and hopefully everyone is right and volume 6 is going to be great again. So this said, and this all out of the way in a very cryptic manner, I gave volume 5 free pause, and I think that's okay. It wasn't the best read, it wasn't the worst. I still wanted to know what would happen, but I think for me the series lost kind of steam in the 5th volume. Let's hope it will pick up pace in the 6th one again. Okay, so that was my wrap-up video for August. I think I have nothing left to add. I will just take a sip of my coffee. I didn't do that yet. And as always, I would love to hear what you read in August. I hope you weren't in a reading slump like me. I hope you read many great books. If you read good books, please write them down in the comments below so I can have a couple of new recommendations. I always love bookish recommendations, as you know. And well, I guess there's nothing left to say except of take care, stay healthy and safe, and see you around the next time. Bye!